In Texas, ingenuity isn't just fixing what's broken. It's giving old things fresh purpose. You'll find it in a humble repairman whose bicycles roll across the world, or in a Central Texas tavern, still serving cold beer in the same building that first poured after Prohibition, modernized yet rooted in tradition. And you'll find it in a steel sculptor who turned a crash into creativity. Today's stories show how Texans shaped the past into something built to last. So why don't you hop in, travel with me. My name is JB Sauceda, and this is Texas Country Reporter. One of the most respected craftsmen in the field of bike frame building and repair does all his work tucked away in a warehouse bay in Huntsville, Texas.
So when I first started my business, it was I didn't have gobs of money, and I had this outside, and I made a case for all my tools, and I'd go outside and I'd work in my backyard, and when it'd rain, I'd just throw a plastic bag on it, and that's when I went training. So I did a lot of riding in the rain. And eventually I built a little building to do it in, and then later on I moved into it was an old meat car, semi-trailer. It's real well insulated and stuff, and worked in that for a few years, and then I moved over here.
When you get a bike from Hans Schneider, it's not like going to the bike shop and picking one off the rack.
I typically go for a ride with the customer. If they're willing to come here, which most of them usually are, I go for a ride with them, see them actually on the bike. And it's kind of a relaxing place to talk about what their expectations are and stuff. And there's things that you'll see that you won't on a fit cycle or something like that. And, and then from there I sit down and go over with them what I'm wanting to do. And I draw it up on a drafting board. Everybody goes, oh, you should do it in CAD. And it's like, I just like drawing it life size, and it makes me feel good. People start talking about, well, I wanted the bike to do this. Because of my background, I understand. I really ride, and I've really done all these things, so I know what people are talking about. Yeah. Or somebody wants their bike to handle a little bit quicker, I'll look at what they're riding right now, and I know what they're talking about, and I'll do it.
Hans's attention to detail has caught the eye of other masters of the trade, including what many would call the Ferrari of bicycles, Ernesto Colnago.
They contacted me and asked if I'd be interested in doing the repairs. It's like, yeah, that's a big deal. For me, I was, yeah, I was quite honored, to think about that. So I've done frame repairs for some of the other companies, and all they were worried about is price. And they didn't even ask me what the price was. They was more concerned about the quality, which it's like, I like that. And, so they let me for a year do certain things. After a while, I was doing everything, a lot of stuff. And refurbishing ones that instead of them going back to Italy, they'd come here, and do that. And so that was a pretty neat deal. And I've done it for some other famous people, and obviously Ernesto Colnago, as far as frame builders, to me, that's top of the world. To do something like that for those people. I mean, he's made bikes he made Eddie Merckx our record bike, which is, I don't know if you know what that is. That's probably the most famous bike in the world. I mean, Eddie Merckx. This guy was, at that time when he was racing, I would imagine the only person that was more famous than him would have been the Pope.
These days, a lot of cyclists are obsessed with how much things weigh. They're always looking for the latest and greatest material. Hans uses steel in every bike he builds. He maintains that it's stronger and it's built to last.
So I had this well-known titanium bike in here, and everybody goes, oh, those are really light stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't know what it weighs, so I've got this real accurate scale for mixing glue and stuff. So I came out, weighed it, and then I weighed this frame, and this one weighed 4 grams more. And I thought, what's 4 grams? So I took my wedding ring off and set it on the thing. It weighs 2 grams. So this one weighs 2 wedding rings more than the other bike. And I thought, well, if I only put 1 coat of clear on it instead of 3, this would have been lighter. It's like, doesn't matter. I don't buy into our throwaway society thing too much, and you know, so if you can fix something and it's as good as new, why not do it that way and instead of just chunk it?
One reason Hans wishes folks didn't pay as much attention to the latest technology is it makes cycling prohibitively expensive for a lot of people.
I wish there was a whole lot more people ride bikes and racing bikes and all that stuff than there are. I think that would be better for society and for the bike industry in reality, but anyhow. You know, I could make lighter bikes, but like I said, I have bikes out there that, you know, down there, you know, lots of them that have lots of miles on them. And, you know, if I made them lighter to a certain point, would they do that? No. They'll last forever. The rust is an issue that you'll see. A lot of people try to make them too light for the person that's going to ride it. If your bike is really well made, there is a fatigue life on them, but if it's made pretty good, it's like the 100,000 mile bike. If it's done right, you know, they'll last for a really, 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 really long time, if not forever.
If you want to see more stories from the back roads of Texas, hit that subscribe button. And also, make sure to give us a follow on Instagram and Facebook, where you'll see plenty more ordinary Texans doing extraordinary things.
Honky-tonk would be a little bit outside the city or off on a side street with music or a really good jukebox. Not a whole lot of frills. Well, here in Texas, we kind of have that hill country, old building atmosphere, and the decor of the old signs and the old clocks and you know, all the old posters on the wall, just kind of and it's a feel. You got to have pool tables and a shuffleboard table, and you got to have music on the weekends, and then you're a honky-tonk.
In Hunter, Joel Hofmann runs Riley's Tavern, the kind of spot that transports you back to a Texas of yore as you step through the doors and walk the wooden floors many, many boots have trod over the years.
When Prohibition was ended, Riley's uncle drove him to Austin one night, and they sat there until the sun came up and the Capitol opened, and he was the first guy to get a license to serve beer. I guess next to Riley, I'm the longest owner. Riley ran it from the age of 17 until he passed away.
Riley's was long a spot for gathering, though it used to feel a little more out of the way for the growth that's drawn the reach of San Marcos and New Braunfels together. Back in the old days, the house rules were a little different.
It's a note from Riley that he had stapled up to the wall telling folks not to shoot in that direction out the windows because there was a house over there. I guess guys would, you know, all these windows would have been open. There would have been no air conditioning. They would have just gotten drunk, you know, just for fun.
It's funny to imagine that people just in here for no reason, and it happened enough times that you'd have to actually put a sign up.
Yeah, it didn't happen once.
Joel bought the bar back in 2004, and he wasn't that much older than Riley when he obtained that first beer license.
When I was in my early 20s, I was in a rockabilly band, and we were playing out here, and I've always been into music, and my parents used to bring me out here, and they came out here in the 60s, and Riley would kind of look the other way when they were underage and selling beer and whatnot. And I wanted to have a place where I could have music. And I didn't want to be on the road with a band because that's just not my thing. And when we were playing out here, I heard that the fellow that had it was trying to sell it to his bartender. So I gave him my card and said, call me if the deal falls through. And 2 or 3 months later, he called me.
Joel is proud to keep the more than 90-year-old Riley's Tavern going, but a building this old comes with challenges.
This place wasn't built to serve liquor, and it wasn't built to have sinks and anything in it. It didn't have plumbing until about 2002. You know, we learned to adapt because the atmosphere, you can't duplicate it anywhere else. You can't go and build this. This has had to evolve and become what it is over the last 91 years.
Joel didn't want to change the vibe, but his love for performing music and seeing traveling bands led to some improvements to the space.
And it's just been little gradual things, nothing that would change the feel or the look or the vibe of Riley's at all.
How do you describe the vibe?
Well, friendly. I mean, I don't think anybody that ever comes in here feels out of place, no matter what kind of lifestyle they choose or what kind of look they have or what, who they are.
Like many of these Texas institutions, it's often not just one man keeping them going. Riley's is a family affair.
My wife has been with me here and helping me manage and run the place since about a year and a half after I took over. And immediately, she is a 50-50 deal here. She does the employee management, the bookkeeping. She helps me choose bands. She helps me do every single thing she's involved in here. And you got to have a partner in life. It makes things so much easier, so much better when you have somebody that supports what you want to do.
Whenever I'm alone here, it's actually pretty peaceful. I like to just put some music on and just listen and kind of get in the zone. Sometimes I kind of lose track of time. I will be here for 7-8 hours straight, and then I stop for a little bit to use the restroom or eat or something, and then come back out here for a little bit more. So it's therapeutic. It's very therapeutic.
There's a reason people turn to art when words fall short. Art has a unique way of quieting the mind, allowing you to turn emotions into textures and colors. It's healing, it's therapeutic. And for Joaquin Soto, it became a career he accidentally stumbled into.
I never really wanted, as a kid, I never knew that art was going to be a thing until later on in life. Took it in high school just for accident. And then it was too late for me to transfer out of the classroom, so I got stuck in my painting class. So I got stuck in that class, but from there it developed into a career, a potential career, and then later on a career. But yeah, it was just kind of like by accident in a way.
That unexpected high school painting class was the beginning of a journey that led him to creating what he calls synergetic metal art sculptures. Pieces crafted from everyday materials, thereby giving them new life.
I would describe my art in a way, it's kind of like more like a post-apocalyptic meets industrial art. So I like to just work with scrap metal. It's very much just like trash to people. People look at it and just see literally waste, and I see potential. I see different options that I have. A lot of car parts, like tanks. I like to use sheet metal, like shelves, like pans for like oven pans. Draw stuff into it, cut it, weld it. I use anything you can think of that's industrial.
Do you make it up as you go, or do you always know what you're going to make when you start?
I see it in my head, but then I have a hard time putting it onto like a model. So I kind of I do it as I go. It's like almost like a computer model in my head. Like I can kind of tweak and work with. That's how I explain it to people. It's just like in my head, I see it, like it's already there. Like I know what it's gonna look like when it's finished. Like I already know.
From Joaquin's workshop in Dallas, sparks fly as he works on his latest sculpture. He's been featured in galleries all over, but these days it's massive metal masterpieces in Grand Prairie that have his heart.
That was commissioned by a hotel, Residence Inn. And that was like kind of like my first ever large piece that was for public view, like a public artwork. And that was pretty special. It was fun to do. That's why like I I like the concept of doing a public art. So that's how this piece came about. I was like, I want to do it again.
Tell me about that piece.
This piece is a piece that I kind of have dreamt of making for the longest time. I've been wanting to make a Phoenix for forever. And then I'm really good friends with the mayor of Grand Prairie, and that's my hometown. I wasn't born in Grand Prairie, but I moved there when I was 7. So I lived there ever since. And it's part of my life that I reached out to the mayor. I was like, I'm gonna make the piece and I wanna gift it to the city. Because another reason why I'm making this piece is to bring artwork to the city, because as a kid I never saw that. I never saw sculptures that were either scrap or anything like that. I had to go to Dallas or somewhere else to see those sculptures. And to me that was just kind of like, man, like if I would have had something locally that I can look at and be like, man, I want to do something like that, then that would have changed my life even sooner. Because a lot of the times people want to be inspired by going to a gallery or to a museum and walk out with like an epiphany, like, oh, I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna create this piece. But you can get inspiration from anywhere. Hopefully, by doing it, displaying it, and someone else seeing it, like a little kid or someone that's probably never experienced that, then maybe that can kind of help them open up their imagination and kind of unlock maybe a little bit of creativity in them. But other than that, it's smooth. You heard like the sizzle on it.
These days, when he's not inspiring people with his own work, Joaquin inspires up-and-coming artists to make pieces of their own. He teaches them how to see the beauty in the mundane and ordinary and turn it into something spectacular. A skill he says he truly learned after one of the worst moments in his life.
I had a car accident when I was right before I was 21. And then that car accident changed a lot of like my perception on things. Before, I had a good understanding of like space and shapes and like color and simple things, how to make something look interesting. But after my accident, I started to see things differently. I started to see that I can literally see something and break it apart in my head and then put it back together differently. So something that people struggled with, I was able to do it in seconds. This is the front of it, that's the side, right? Yeah. Even right now, I would look at anything around here, I can just see how it looks, break it apart, and then put it back together in my head. And so yeah, it's majority was the accident. You just twist it before you add any of this.
Is there something about your journey that you're trying to convey in your art?
I think the message to my art is belonging, like finding a home. Like I said, like my accident, it helped kind of unlock something that was already there. I feel like I had something there, but then just having a severe head injury in a car accident, a rollover that my doctor said should have killed me, and left me with a U-shaped scar in my head that is I look at it and I can't hide it, it's there. So the message is kind of like belonging. Like I felt like after the accident, I didn't belong. I didn't I felt like survivor's guilt kind of thing, like I should have not be here, I shouldn't be around. And then using my new talent to, be like, well, make the best out of it. Just use something, tragedy into like something more, I guess, inspiring.
Inside every piece of scrap metal, Joaquin has learned to see limitless potential. In his hands, each thin sheet of metal and iron tubing can be combined to make something great, becoming a part of a new chapter and telling a new story. And he's made it his mission to share the story of his life and his art with the world.
Art means so much to me, and that changes every time. Every phase of my life, it has changed. When I was little, it used to be an outlet. It used to be kind of like, all right, I do this to kind of like just let off some steam or just feel like at peace. when I was a teenager, that's when I started to kind of feel like, all right, this is like a career, a livelihood. And then that kind of changed in the last 2-3 years into like, all right, this is a message, this is a story. So yeah, it's changed.
Today's stories remind us that ingenuity is as much about spirit as it is about skill. Whether it's shaping steel, preserving tradition, or mending what's worn, Texans show us that with creativity and care, even trials can be transformed into lasting treasures. I look forward to next week when we'll continue on this journey down the back roads of Texas. Until then, my name is JB Salceda, and this is Texas Country Reporter.